What's going on, everybody? Lil Chris here, and in today's video, as you may have guessed, I'm going to be reviewing another pool cue. And what I have for you today is the JFlower JF-BK2, otherwise known as the JFforce break cue. So let's see what this thing is all about, and stick around to the end so you can hear how you might have a chance to win this cue. Or just jump straight to the end because you really want to know how you can win this cue. But seriously, stick around and let's take a look at this. Now let's have a closer look at the butt of the JFforce brake cue. This is made out of purple heartwood and then stained black. And at the very bottom of the cue, we have this rubber bumper. And the grip area has this embossed leathered sports wrap. And you can see that the JFlowers logo is here in the middle, and it's got this nice yellow design that goes completely around the wrap. Now, as we move up to the forearm, here's where you can see everything is stained black. And then we have the JFforce logo. And then the top of the butt, we have a 3/8 joint pin, and this does come with joint protectors. And then here we have the carbon fiber brake shaft. Starting at the top, we have a phenolic tip, and it's a little difficult to see, but that sits on top of a small black ferrule that's made out of Cox resin. Now, as far as I'm aware, this shaft isn't really made any different than the shaft for the playing cues. I mean, even this shaft is pro-tapered, because when I take the shaft off of the rollers and then lay it onto the table, we're going to see that small little space underneath the shaft. The only thing I know that makes this shaft different from the playing shafts, besides the phenolic tip, is that the diameter of the shaft is a little bit thicker, but I'll measure that out when I compare the specs to the certificate of authenticity. And then when we get here to the butt of the shaft, we can see that the JFlowers logo is engraved into it, and then it ends with a small black collar. All right, y'all should be aware how this works by now. I'm going to check out the specs of the cue and compare it to the certificate of authenticity. And it looks like we're going to be dealing with a standard length cue of 58 inches, where both the butt and the shaft should measure out to be 29 inches. So let's measure out the shaft. And if everybody remembers, when you measure out the shaft, you start at the very bottom, but then you only measure up to the top of the ferrule. You do not include the tip. So hopefully everybody can see here, we have exactly 29 inches. And then when you measure out the butt of the cue, you start at the very bottom, but you do not include the rubber bumper. And then you come up to the very top of the joint, but you do not include the pin. And hopefully everybody can see here, we do have exactly 29 inches. So now let's check the weight. We'll start with the butt of the cue that is supposed to weigh 15.2 ounces. And that looks right on the money. And then when we weigh the shaft, that is supposed to weigh 4.3 ounces. But it looks like we're just shy of a 1/10 of an ounce. 4.2 ounces for a grand total of 19.4 ounces, which is actually a little bit heavier than what I would prefer my brake cues to have. I'd actually like mine to be around 18 to 18 and a half. And then last but not least, let's check out the diameter of the tip, which should be 13 millimeters. And hopefully everybody should be able to see, it looks like we have 13.02 millimeters. So really, really close. All right, there's no better way to test a brake cue than to go through a few breaks. So that's what we're going to do here. Now, based on some of the customer reviews that I've read and some comments that I've received, this cue supposedly breaks really well with hardly any effort. So that's what I'm going to try on my first break here. I'm just going to hit that rack like I'm shooting a normal shot. Let's see how this cue sounds, and let's see how the rack spreads. Got a pretty nice thud sound off of the cue ball there, and I was able to break at 16 miles per hour with hardly any effort, decent spread. I know I'm using a magic rack, so that kind of tailors towards having a really good spread here, but overall pretty good. Let's see what it looks like if I break a little bit harder. All right, so we'll try more from the middle of the table here. I'm going to break slightly harder, still only using all arm, not really going to try to put my body into this. Let's see what we hear out of the break, and let's see how the ball spread. Pretty decent control of the cue ball there. Managed to break at 18.06 miles per hour. The cue ball almost squatted near the middle of the table, and we still made a ball on the break. So with this third break, let's hit really hard. We'll even try to put some bodily movement into it. All right, so let's see if I can actually get into the 20s for power. Well, I managed to do it, 20.51 miles per hour. I was able to make a ball, but you saw I lost complete control of the cue ball, which is typically why I don't like to break like that. But for one last final break, let's try an 8-ball break. All right, so I'm not going to be highly expecting the 8-ball to go, but I am going to be hitting the 5-ball, and typically we would see that the 8-ball might fall into the side pocket here. It is going to come out of the rack, but with all the balls going everywhere, it's more than likely going to get kicked somewhere else. But let's see what happens, and let's see how hard I hit this. And because I'm doing a second ball break, I'm actually not going to be hitting as hard as I did like the previous breaks. As you can see, we got movement out of the 8-ball, but my cue ball came and kicked it, and that break was only at 14.66 miles per hour. So I don't know if you can tell by the sound of the hit, but it's really solid. And like I said, personally, I can feel how heavy this is being at about 19.5 ounces, which is typically what I like my shooting cues to be, not so much my breaking cues. But overall, I can't really complain with the way that the hit of the cue sounds, and then of course the reactions that I can get out of the break. And that's going to wrap up my review of the JFlower JF BK2, otherwise known as the JF Force Break Cue. Now, overall, yes, I'm going to say that this is a really good break cue. Hopefully you're able to hear how solid of a contact it makes with the cue ball when breaking. And as you saw from my first break, it really doesn't take that much effort to deliver the cue ball into the rack at only 16 miles per hour and still get a decent break. Now, personally, this is a little heavy for my taste being at 19.4 ounces, but I can easily just remove some of the weight bolts from the butt of the cue. Now, what's really nice about this cue, though, is the cost, which sits at only $352, which is half the price of its competitors. So, if you think you might be in the market for a carbon fiber brake cue at a decent price, then this might be the cue for you. Now, as you heard me say at the very beginning of this video, I am going to be giving this cue away to one of my lucky subscribers. Mainly so that someone else can see how good this cue is, rather than just hearing it from me. So if you're new to my channel and you've never been part of my giveaways or have seen any of my giveaways, in order to be an eligible winner, all you have to do is give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comment section below. And then be sure you're subscribed to my channel and make sure your subscription list is public, so that way I can verify that you're one of my subscribers. Now, based on the way that my past product review videos have gone, I want to try something different with this one. And that is, I would just like to see this video get at least 1,000 likes. And based on the number of views that all my previous product review videos have gotten, that should be rather simple. Because once this video gets at least 1,000 likes, I will go live and select the winner. So as a reminder, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section below, and then make sure your subscription list is public. And in case anybody's wondering about the last JFlower cue that I gave away, here's a video of Kenneth enjoying his new cue playing a game of 9-ball. Take care, everybody.